Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Morning Motivation with Morley Career Solutions. I try to do this show every Wednesday and Friday morning, and the purpose is for me to give you a quick but very actionable tip that can help you to propel your career forward. I am here. Morning Motivation is a show produced by Green Cow, and we have some cool workshops coming up for you soon. So stay tuned to hear a little bit more about that. You can also visit the websites in my description or send me a message for more information about how you might participate in those things. If you're watching live, say hi. Definitely let me know what other tips you'd like me to share, and I would be happy to do that. But today we're going to be talking about how to start a conversation on LinkedIn, which is something that a lot of people are very nervous about. A lot more than I expected when I started this, what I do as a career coach. And I have to have my coffee this morning, which is Panera. I have a good morning, and I'm not sure who it's from. It says Facebook user, so I'm not sure, but good morning. Um, and So we're going to talk about how to start a conversation on LinkedIn. Now, if you watched my last video, I talked about something that you can do in 5 minutes that will have a significantly positive impact on your career. And that thing was to talk with people who are in other industries. And that's the video that I did while I was driving to Florida. And I was in Tennessee, and it was really beautiful behind me. It was very bright and sunny, and there was some flowering trees that was really cool. But I only had about 2 minutes to do the video because I had bribed my children with gummy bears. so, yeah. So that was a quick tip. And the quick idea there was spend a few minutes talking to people in another industry. And the reason for that is that oftentimes we get used to things in our industry and we don't necessarily think out of the box. So whether it's problem solving or identifying new opportunities, so many times my clients tell me that the benefit that I give them is simply because I know of things that are going on in other industries where their particular skill set might be valuable. So spend some time talking to other people. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that using LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a way that you can talk to people in other industries. And it's a networking site. And so many people are really, really afraid of LinkedIn. They just don't know what to do with it. And I understand that because LinkedIn does seem a little strange. Number one, once you throw a profile up on there, a lot of times you get the sponsored messages or messages about jobs that you wouldn't necessarily be in. Now, I don't get those because of how I have my settings on LinkedIn. I do get some of the sponsored messages, which I just ignore, but I don't get a whole lot of recruiters reaching out to me about things that I don't want to do. So if you guys would like to know a little bit about how you can set your settings to stop some of that, I'd be happy to do a show on that as well. LinkedIn also just seems a little strange for people that are used to, my generation of folks are more used to using Facebook. I know that some people who are a little bit younger than I am are used to using Instagram more. Snapchat, maybe if you're used to using Pinterest, whatever social network you're used to using, LinkedIn can feel a little strange because I think a lot of people are used to using social networking for personal and not necessarily for business or professional and development there. And so they're thinking, what do I do here? What is the tone of voice that I should use? What's the appropriate behavior? It's a new situation. Oftentimes, we all are used to doing this in real life all the time. You go to a baby shower versus a networking meeting versus a dinner with your friends versus something with your kids. I mean, we're used to making those changes in how we introduce ourselves or talk to people or what's more appropriate in which circumstance. But we're not necessarily used to doing that online. And I think that that's why it's so awkward for some people. But the good news is it really doesn't have to be awkward. So I see that I have some people watching. If you could say hi, please say hi. I don't know why I can't see your names today, but say hi. Let me know that you're here. And if you use LinkedIn, tell me about how it works for you. So all that's to say, like, I understand where you're coming from when you say it's awkward. I understand, that challenge. But at the same time, if you are hesitating to connect with people on LinkedIn because it seems awkward to you, you're missing out on opportunities. What I often explain to people is, a lot of the folks that I work with are more familiar or comfortable in an in-person networking meeting situation than they are on LinkedIn. And I say, when you go to a networking event, when you go to some kind of a speed networking or um, a presentation of some kind, or like 1 million cups or something like that, when you go to a networking event, the expectation is that you're going to meet new people. You're going to introduce yourself. You're going to tell a little bit about what it is that you do. And the point there is to make connections and potentially work together towards mutual goals. So, we are familiar with that. That is the point of an in-person networking meeting. And LinkedIn is really the same. So you don't need to feel awkward introducing yourself to people on LinkedIn, because the point is that you would, make those connections and potentially identify opportunities. So it's the very similar situation, and that is okay, and it's acceptable. And of course, are you going to find people that don't ever reply to your messages? Yes, sometimes because they don't even know how to get them. Are you going to have people that potentially don't want to talk to you and seem rude? Yes, but that's sort of life in general, right? We meet all kinds of people every day, and some of them are very happy and outgoing, and you have a natural connection with them and something to talk about. Other people might seem nice, but there's really just not a whole lot of overlap in what it is that you do. And some people are just not very nice, and maybe they're just not having a great day, or they're socially awkward, or whatever it is. You're going to run into that same thing on LinkedIn, and that should not discourage you from using it. So how do you reach out to people on LinkedIn? Well, first of all, you should know that depending on what plan you have, you might have to pay to send messages without sending a connection. So that's why I recommend that you connect with the people that you message. Second of all, you should realize that LinkedIn behaves very differently on your phone than on your computer. So I always recommend, if you're going to spend some time networking on LinkedIn, use a computer for that. Don't use your phone. We can get into more about why later. I'd be happy to do a show on that. And then the third thing is, what do you actually say? How do you actually introduce yourself? Well, I am not a fan of spam at all, and I'm a fan of trying to make authentic connections. So, what I suggest is that you take a look at their profile, you take a look at what they're posting. If it seems like you might have something in common with this person, then you simply identify something about their profile or their experience that you'd like to know more about, and you start the conversation with that. Hi, I was looking at your profile. I see that you do this, or you have this job title, or you just posted about that. That sounds really interesting, and I'd love to know a little bit more. Can you tell me more about that? Or maybe sometimes you might have a more specific question, like, what was it like to present at this conference? What was that like for you? Or you might, get even more specific about, do you have other examples of this kind of work that you've done? It doesn't have to be really complicated. And in fact, I recommend that first introductory question should be fairly broad. So what's the purpose of this? Well, the idea is that you want to reach out to them and talk about their background first. It's better. People don't like to get messages where you're simply just talking about yourself. Like, I do this and I do that. And can you do me this favor? It's like, I don't even know you. But the idea is to ask them about themselves first. And hopefully in their reply, you get a little bit of a better understanding of who they are and what they value. And then, you can take it from there to determine what would be the next natural step. Um, for a lot of my clients, they're using these as informational interviews. So a lot of times I am working with a client who's identified a company or an organization they might want to work for. And so they've gone on LinkedIn and they found some people that have worked at or working for that organization. And now they want to know a little bit more about what they do and if they like working there. And so they'll send out these messages simply saying that, I'm interested in this organization. I'd like to know a little bit more about your experience working there. And sometimes that leads into a Zoom call. Sometimes it leads into just following that person on LinkedIn and seeing what they're posting. But really, the first step is, how do you write that connection message? And that connection message is just, tell me a little bit more about this specific thing. So identifying something on their profile or in their posting that interests you and asking to know a little bit more about it. And that's really the conversation starter. Now, so many people are really nervous to do this, but I'll tell you, especially folks who are looking to do this to advance their careers, because they're thinking, oh my goodness, this person is going to think that I'm, just all about me and it's going to be awkward. I would say that of everyone that I've worked with, there's been no one that's ever had that experience that I know. I mean, I'm sure there are people that have had that experience. As I said, there's all kinds of people out there on the world, and those people are represented on LinkedIn. But every client that I've worked with who has started using LinkedIn as a way to grow their personal and professional network, and potentially as part of their job search or their career exploration, has come back and said to me, wow, I am so surprised and impressed by how willing people are to have conversations with me. So when you start that conversation in a kind and other person focused manner, you're more likely to have these results. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about how you could use LinkedIn to have conversations with people outside of your industry or within your industry, if you want to know a little bit more about why you might want to have these conversations or what kind of conversations would be good to have, leave a comment and tell me what you think about that. If you've had experience with LinkedIn, leave a comment and tell me what you think about that. I have some friends that I've met on various social networks that have become really good friends and connections over the years where we've supported each other. And I've never met these people in person. So we can do that, and that can be helpful to you. So leave me a little bit more about your story and give this a try this week. And let me know if you need any help or any additional recommendations on how to do this. And then let me know how it goes. All right. Well, I will see you guys hopefully on Friday with another tip. And until then, have a great week. Bye.